Hey guys, so today is going to be my first video of the year. I'm kind of off to a late start because we're almost in March. I wanted to sit down today and talk about kind of like what my reading goals are for the year. Never used to set like a book goal or like I want to read X amount of books for the year. Last 2, 3, 4 years, I really haven't read that much. I've talked about this in several videos. I kind of went on like a reading hiatus. And so last year I was really kind of motivated to get back into reading. I feel like I love reading. I love books. It's something I've always enjoyed, and I just have kind of gotten out of that the last several years. So last year for 2019, I made a goal to read 12 books. I made a goal to read 12 books, like 1 book a month. And I did so well, you guys, up until November. I work in retail, and like the Christmas season is just crazy. And so the last thing that I wanted to do was read, and I just kind of was like, whatever. So I ended up only reading 10 out of the 12 books that I had planned to. It's a little disappointing when you're like, oh, I didn't achieve something, you know, you kind of feel like down about it. But instead of being like, oh, I just decided, you know what, like that's the way life is sometimes. Like we can always try and do better. 2020 book goal is to try and read 24 books this year. I figured I can do 24 books, like, you know, that's about 2 books a month if you average it out. I don't know that I'm going to hold myself to having to read 2 books a month. Like if I want to read 1 book a month, 3 books the next month, I'm kind of gonna just go with the flow. I feel like last year I was like, I have to read 1 book a month, and it got kind of stressful. Kind of became just like, oh, like I have to do this. Instead of putting so much pressure on, I have to read like 2 books this month, I'm just gonna kind of read and go with the flow and have fun with it. How many is on your list? Like, are you shooting super high, like 50 to 100? I've seen like tons of people on Goodreads that have like super high like stacked lists, and I'm like, oh. I figured I would also show you guys what I've been reading so far. So I did end up reading 2 books in January. I felt like I needed to start off with something easy, kind of like quick, fast-paced, kind of romancy. I can always get through like the romancy books really quickly. So I read The Mister by E.L. James. You guys, I'm sure you know this, but if you don't, E.L. James is the author of 50 Shades of Grey, which I do enjoy. I like the books. I know it's like, I don't know if it's still like a thing now, but it used to be like a thing back in the day. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna do like reviews on these or not. Do people still do like videos dedicated to book reviews? Kind of paraphrase this. I enjoyed it, and it's interesting because like the first night I started reading it, I stayed up for hours and I read like 100 to 150 pages. I was super into it. And then like the next couple days I read a little bit more, and I was just kind of like less interested. I don't know. It has kind of like a similar theme to 50 Shades of Grey, but different. I feel like the characters are kind of similar, but they have a different dynamic. It was good. It wasn't as good for me as the 50 Shades of Grey story. I don't know if it's like because there's more than 1 book, or the relationship was just new and different, and this is a little bit similar. I don't know what it is. I did enjoy this. I think I gave it like a 4-star on Goodreads. I would probably say 3.5 to 4-star. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the story. I didn't like it as good as 50 Shades of Grey, and I feel like I can compare it to that because this is the same author. The second book that I finished was Me by Elton John. This is the like autobiography, like memoir about Elton John's life. I absolutely love this. I have like a massive obsession and like love for Elton John. I saw Rocket Man last year, and I was blown away like by the movie, by the story, by Elton John's life, by his, you know, whole kind of world. Really never had known a lot about him like as a person, like just like little tidbits here and there from like the news tabloids. But it was funny because I feel like I've known his music forever. Like when I was younger, I always knew like the classics, like the hits, and I don't know that at the time I knew that they were Elton John songs, but I've always loved his music. And so when the movie came out, I was super excited about that because I love like the 70s, the 80s, like all of the older stuff, like rock, like 80s pop, like all of that kind of thing. So I was really excited, and the movie was phenomenal. 10 out of 10. Like go rent it on Redbox or somewhere, or watch it online. It was phenomenal. Loved this book. Like 10 out of 10 as well, 5 out of 5, whatever. Absolutely loved it. I feel like if you don't know a lot about Elton John, if you're not familiar with him, I would definitely watch the movie first and then read this, because I feel like the intro part of it could be a little bit like less exciting if you don't know about his life. But to me, like I followed it very well because a lot of it was talked about in Rocket Man or shown. but I loved it. It was incredible. This month I've been kind of petering back and forth with 2 books. First one that I've started is Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert, which is kind of like a memoir of her life. I was thinking this was gonna be kind of like an Under the Tuscan Sun type of book where she like takes off to Italy and gets like some romantic like Italian love story and lives there and all, and I'm very fascinated by the Italian culture. I've never been to Italy, but one day I hope to make it to like the Amalfi Coast and go to Positano and, you know, Capri, and of course like Rome and Venice and all those places, Tuscany. So I've always been fascinated with Italy, so I was thinking it was gonna be more along the lines of that. It actually like is kind of like that in the beginning. It starts off that way, but then I believe she also is gonna travel to India and Indonesia. So it's kind of like her like traveling around, but it's like self-discovery. Like she's kind of finding out who she is and like working on herself. Deeper issues about her life, like a divorce and mental kind of challenges she's going through, like depression and anxiety and things like that. And so it's a little bit more than I thought that it was. This is really good so far, but it's different. It's different than I thought. I was researching books online and this one came up under like some kind of Goodreads group or list or something. So I picked this up and I decided to start reading it, and I really like this so far. I don't know that I feel like an obsession to it yet, like an attachment. I've definitely been engaged and I've stayed up several hours at a time reading it, so I'm invested in the story, but I don't know if I feel like a pull to it, like a Harry Potter kind of pull. I'll keep you guys posted on this. I'm still on the first one, Obsidian. This one has the first 2, Obsidian and Onyx. So I am getting kind of close to being near the end of the first book, hoping to finish the first one, maybe the second one by this month, and then I'm not sure if I'll finish this one or not. We'll see. So that is what I'm reading so far. I feel kind of weird. I haven't really read a lot of like the young adult books in a while. I've kind of transitioned the last couple years to like more like new adult or like contemporary romance or like business related self-help kind of type of books. So I don't know, I'm just kind of throwing it around. I think that is going to be it for today. I feel excited to be back, to be filming. I have some ideas for some more videos. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will hopefully see you very soon. Bye.